Circle going. Welcome back to another edition of Money Moves. We happen to do this every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. So glad you're here with us today. And if you're watching this pre-recorded, show you some love too. Do us a favor, though. Click that little subscribe button down below if you're getting content value out of this. And don't be afraid to share it either. So it's myself and the ever-present and lovely Wendy Lee. Hello, Wendy.
Hello.
I'll start with my famous question. How was your weekend?
It was good. My weekend was good. Football, friends, fun.
Fall, yeah. Fall is definantently here. It's a nice weekend this weekend too.
It's crazy around here. Like literally, I might have said this last week, but it was like in a day, fall happened. I don't know. We went from no leaves on the ground to I'm like shuffling through them to get through.
Yeah, exactly. And they were everywhere. And then back into the, almost 80 here. I don't know, where everybody's watching that, but in Nashville, it was about 80 degrees or just under. And we'll be back in fall later this week. So it's the up and down. So anyway, but we're not here to give a weather report. We're actually going to be talking about something that's probably near and dear to everybody's heart today. And that is income. Right now, inflation is up. The official rate's around 8.5%. I think it's probably closer to 15 because they're not including food. They're not including fuel, which is crazy to think about that. They don't include that stuff. So we're going to talk about what you can do and how you need to look at income to make an impact on your life. So we're going to get started here in just a few seconds. Do me a favor. Reach out to your friends and family and say, hey, you need to be on this, www.blackswanmoney.com. And we'll get started here shortly. All right, we're back and we're ready to go. So let's talk about everybody's favorite thing. I often joke that I work in an industry where literally everybody wants it, and that is money, right? And primarily we're talking about the income of money incoming to you, the viewer, right? So what are your thoughts on that, Wendy? Do you like income?
I like making money. Yes.
I have yet to have anybody tell me no on that. So
I like making money.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to learn how to not let it all run away from me, right? We talk about that.
There you go.
But yeah, I thought back in the day, like climbing the corporate ladder was the only way to build wealth. And years ago, I think it was 2012, I was a big, Shark Tank fans, right? I was a big fan of Shark Tank. And I heard that Damon John and his team were coming to Nashville and doing this event and going to talk about like wealth and building a business and all these things. So went to that event. And the only thing I remember that stuck with me so powerfully from that was, he said, your wealth is not vertical, like climbing the corporate ladder. Right? You'll never get wealthy from a full-time job and from a salary job.
You won't.
And he said, the only way to truly create wealth, which we have to define wealth, but the only way to truly create wealth is multiple, he says it's horizontal. It's multiple income streams and residual and passive income, which I had no idea what that meant. Right? So, but I remember that. And then they started to talk about the different ways you could do that. And it was this light bulb moment for me. And I became an entrepreneur 2 months later because of that powerful statement. And so we're reading a book right now. Do you have it with you? There you go. Building an Empire. And we're doing that in our book club right now, which if you guys want to get involved in our book clubs, we have them every month. We meet on Wednesdays and they're amazing. We're always digging into an awesome book. So but in book club, we're reading that. And one of the sections, he talked about linear versus leveraged income. And that's what that is, right? The linear income is I trade time for money, and leveraged income is completely different. It's where you create passive and residual income.
Yeah.
So
if I can just jump in a little bit, I mean, that's one of the things too, first of all, the book club is great. if you want to learn about money, we open it up to everybody. We have, sometimes we have 8 people, sometimes we have 20 people. So it just varies on who shows up or whatever. But if you're available Wednesdays at noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, love to have you on there. We'll put the link below on how you can join that. But we read one book a month, make it super simple. This one is Building an Empire, and it's talking about ways to migrate from a linear income to a passive or leveraged income, as he calls it. I did the same thing. I mean, in 2000, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Everybody's heard of that. His second book talked about cash flow quadrant, or was called Cash Flow Quadrant, and it talks about the 4 ways you make money in the United States legally. There's other ways, but we're just talking the legal stuff. And one of them, and I took this path, I was an employee because that's what we're trained to think, right, in school. I almost think we're trained to be sheep to some degree because they don't teach us about money. They teach us how to, go to school, get good grades, right? That's the measuring stick in order to go out and get accepted to a good college, get good grades, to go out and get a good job, right? Mm-hmm. And then you work at that job, and that's the thing. You're waiting for somebody in front of you to screw up, get fired, die, so you can get that job, right? And there's 20 other people competing for that job, and that's how you move up. But the one thing that really stuck to me was kind of along your Damon John kind of epiphany, if you will. Mm-hmm. You will never get rich working for somebody else. And rich, wealth, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's different for everybody. We can talk about that here in just a second. But you will never be truly wealthy working for somebody else. And the reason is you're trading your time for money to that person, that employer, in order to help them build their dreams,
right?
In order to help them build their wealth. That's the whole point of a job, right? Mm-hmm. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you truly want to get wealthy, you've got to look, how can I create a platform of income coming in, multiple streams of income raining in on you? So,
yeah. And I think about Jim Rohn. He says, make a living at your full-time job while you build a life in your part-time job, in your, like the business that you build, basically, and you're off the 40 hours a week. So I know a lot of people that are watching this are probably in that, corporate ladder climbing world. And we know how unstable it is. Unemployment
going on right now.
Yeah. Unemployment is so low right now, but that's not going to stay that way, right? That's going to change.
Realtors, mortgage people, get ready. Banks, get ready.
Yeah. There's lots of changes coming, and there's a lot of uncertainty. I just had a meeting yesterday, and this guy was talking about, in the world of employment and what's going on staffing wise and in the corporate world, and how there's really a lot of times we can look back in history and see how things are going to, there's cycles of things, but because of COVID, right, what's happening now is there's no reference point, right? We don't really have a data set to look back at and go, this is probably what's going to happen. And, we've talked about inflation and the government pouring all this money, printing this money and pouring it into our country and the system right now, causing this inflation. And everything's very volatile and unpredictable. And so the only thing I know I can predict, right? I can't predict if, boss at daytime job is going to keep me, but I can predict my own activity level to create income and figuring out different ways to create that income and that leveraged income. So I kind of want to talk about what leveraged income means, right? One way I look at it, and I want to hear from you too, John, but like I'm one person. We all have 24 hours a day. You can only work so many of them, right? Yep. Maybe you work 12 of them. If you have 12 hours a day that you're working times, 7 days a week or 365 days a year, right? You make a certain amount per hour. I don't care if you're an attorney and you're billing $350, $400 an hour, you're still capped, right? Mm-hmm. There's only a certain amount of money you can make because you're only one person and you only have so many hours.
Yep.
And so in building something different, building an agency with us or building a network marketing team or building your own business where, you have other people working and you make money off their efforts, which is what your boss is doing with you, right? If you work a full-time job, when you build something that you're making money off other people's efforts, then you create that leveraged income, right? I have, a team, with us of 6 people, right? And the work they do, I make money on too. I have a network marketing team of 400 people. The work they do, I make money off of too. So that's where you create that leverage. I'm leveraging other people's efforts and time to help grow my income.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to, and that's that whole passive side too. And I want to clarify, you brought up a good point. First of all, you get some people who get all bent out of shape. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you do this, that, or, get over it. First of all, that's what you're doing with your job.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what your boss is doing. You're okay with that. Right. The other thing is, it's not as though you're just sitting back, not doing anything. Right. The trade-off is you're spending your time training them, you're spending your time coaching them, right? On a business perspective, you're spending your time, at least in our world, working with the clients for them in most cases, but at least with them, training them and things like that. And I look at college, right? This is a prime example. People will go and spend thousands of dollars for 4 or 5 years, right? Or if you're going on to advanced degrees, 6, 7, 8 years, without making a single dime. Okay. And it's like, everybody's okay with that. And so you come into a business, whether it's in the financial services world or maybe in network marketing, to use that example, where they're coming out of the gate making money, but there's a little bit of a spread there. And that's all it is. And that, that's where that leveraged income comes from. And then you start automating and building a system to where, okay, I'm enabling, not allowing, but enabling people to go out and make an unlimited, amount of money, because it's uncapped in most cases, where they're able to go out, and then you start controlling your own destiny. And that's where I started with my business. I mean, I had a great job, right? I'd already been laid off a few times, and my fear was it was going to happen again, because the third time I got laid off, it got pretty skinny in the old bank account. Let's just put it that way. And I swore to myself I would never let that happen again. I said, okay, well, the linear isn't working. I need to start doing leverage and spreading it out wider. So I started looking at different avenues on what could happen. And now I've got, 4 streams of income right now happening, and I love it. And I'm not done yet with that either. But I looked at it as, and maybe you're an executive watching this, using it as a parachute. Meaning if something did happen, usually you get a little bit of a severance, but I wanted that to kind of give me a little parachute. So it's a soft landing into another career or something like that. Well, what ended up happening is I started making a bunch of money and having a bunch of fun, and then got to create my own destiny. And all of a sudden it's like, you know what, that job, that's not really, I don't know that I want to spend all my time there. And don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong. If you've got a job, love it. That's fantastic. Keep it. But don't get caught in that trap of, oh, they love me, they'll never get rid of me, and I'm just going to put all my eggs in this one basket from an income perspective, right?
For sure. And what you said is uncapped, right? Like in a corporate job, you're not uncapped.
No.
Right? Like there's always a limit. And I don't care if you're in a sales job and you have great commission. And here's what happens, because I've seen it 1,800 times over, because I worked in sales. You start making a certain amount of money, guess what? They divide up your territory, or they change the commission structure.
A little too much money
all the time. We
need to change the comp plan a little bit. That's revenue the money or the company could be getting, and we're giving it away. Let's keep it generous, but let's cut some of it back. And I've seen it time and time again. It's happened to me where all of a sudden, comp change, and they spin it, and it's like, I think I'm getting screwed on this.
You just totally screwed me out of my money. Yeah. I see it happen all the time. And that's what I love about being an entrepreneur. And there's so many, like when people think entrepreneur, what I used to think is like, I have to start a business from scratch. There's so many plug and play businesses now. Think about like franchises or plug and play businesses, but you have to put typically a brick and mortar franchise. You're putting up tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. One franchise I would love to start because I love the business, but it's $250,000 to start, right? And then you're most likely not profitable for the first couple of years. Whereas there's these online plug and play businesses in financial services now, because of Zoom, it's pretty much online now, and network marketing. There's so many businesses you can just literally get started right away, start making money, and you're uncapped. You are paid based off of your effort. And the more in our business, the more you work, like in the beginning, you're kind of trading a lot of time for a little money, because it takes a minute to get things going. That's your learning. That's your college, if you will, in the business. Right. But eventually it goes like this. Yeah. And then you have to do a lot less to make a lot more. Yeah. And, but anyway, that uncapped, that's my favorite part. Yeah, exactly. Nobody can tell me, sorry, you're making too much.
So a couple of books as we kind of wrap up. Number one, love you to be on the book club, right? Like I said, every Wednesday we'll put the link down below. Join us, grab the book. We're getting ready to start our book for the month of November. That first week in November will be our first meeting. Be there. The second thing is read that Cash Flow Quadrant. That's actually a really good book. And then Building an Empire. That's another one. It's geared around the network marketing business, but there's a lot of things that cross over into many other businesses. And in my opinion, I've not done network marketing in a traditional sense, but I've learned a lot from you, Wendy, about it, and I think it's gotten a bad rap. What I've found is it's usually that the system or whatever the business doesn't work. It's they're not working the business or working the system, right? And so it's it goes back to the plug and play. You can plug it in, but if you're not playing, it ain't making money for you, right? So. And that's what I've found. But again, don't sit back and don't have that victim mentality, folks. I don't care if you're sitting in the middle of Los Angeles or New York City, and you this, that, or the other, is sitting in Elmira, Arkansas, right? You can do something on the side. And now with Zoom and the internet and everything else, if you've got a computer or even just your phone, you can do most of this stuff with your phone anymore. And an internet connection, you can build a nice part-time income, even if it's small. And when I say small, I'm talking like $500 or $1,000 a month. Ask yourself, what would an extra $1,000 a month do for your budget?
Absolutely.
Probably a lot. So Wendy, another great addition. I love this stuff. If you'd like to learn more about what we do or how we can help clients or how we can help you with a side income, reach out to us, Wendy Lee Online, or you can reach out to me at Black Swan Money. We'd love to help you and kind of show you what we're all about. Or at least point you in the right direction with somebody else. But again, it's all about multiple streams of income. Go wide, right? Yeah. That's how you do it. Ideally, you want to have 7. At least that's what most millionaires do. So, if you've only got the 1, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. But know that you got a little work in front of you. So we'll see you here next Tuesday. Again, don't forget to click that little subscribe button and hit that bell if you're on YouTube. And I want to thank our people that show up live, and then also our viewers that are coming back and checking out some of these episodes. This is episode number 72. So we've got 71 other videos with a lot of good information for you. And again, it's all about watch it, learn from it, subscribe to it, and then share it. And don't forget to apply it. That's the big piece. So Wendy, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday on Money Moves. Bye-bye.